1914, 10 million dead, empires fractured, and a continent hollowed out by artillery fire. The world had never experienced industrial slaughter on this scale, creating a desperate global demand for a permanent solution. That solution was driven largely by one man, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson. His goal was to engineer a global system that would render armed conflict entirely obsolete. Following the armistice, global leaders gathered in Paris to sign the foundational treaties of a new global body, the League of Nations. Yet, despite being the most ambitious diplomatic experiment in human history, this system would collapse into a Second World War just 2 decades later. To understand why it failed, we have to look at what the League actually was. It was humanity's first attempt to build a physical, bureaucratic mechanism designed to outlaw human conflict. That mechanism relied on 3 distinct parts. Here, we see the gears of the League: the Assembly, the Council, and the Permanent Court of International Justice. The Assembly was the democratic engine. Every member nation, regardless of size, held a single, equal vote. But the true authority lay with the Council. This body was controlled by a handful of powerful nations, allowing them to dictate the terms of global security. When these delegates actually convened, the physical scale of the operation was massive. Hundreds of representatives from across the globe gathered under one roof. To ensure absolute neutrality, they headquartered this vast administrative apparatus at the Palais des Nations, nestled in the Swiss landscape of Geneva. Early on, the system worked. When Sweden and Finland clashed over the Åland Islands, the League intervened and settled the border peacefully. They did the same for a bitter oil dispute in Mosul. These interventions provided the first measurable proof that a framework of international law could actively prevent armies from marching. While the political debates grabbed the headlines, the League's most resilient work was happening quietly in the background. In 1923, they established a dedicated health organization, launching aggressive, borderless global campaigns to completely eradicate smallpox and malaria. 2 years later, they drafted a global convention aimed squarely at dismantling the international slave trade. They even acted as the world's first financial safety net, issuing massive stabilization loans to prevent post-war economies like Austria from collapsing into chaos. Through these targeted missions, the League laid down the operational blueprints for global public health, finance, and human rights. But the entire structure harbored a fatal flaw. As this balance scale illustrates, the United States, the very nation that proposed the League, refused to join, leaving the organization severely destabilized. Without American backing, the League's reliance on diplomatic debate proved useless against the aggressive rise of fascist dictators in Europe, like Benito Mussolini in Italy. As Germany rapidly remilitarized, amassing overwhelming force, the League found itself entirely paralyzed, unable to enforce its own treaties. A system of collective security is designed to punish aggressors, but if the world's most powerful nations refuse to participate or enforce the rules, the system fails. That failure became absolute in 1939. Borders were violently breached, and the League's primary mission to prevent another global conflict officially ended. Yet, from the immediate ruins of the Second World War, a new structure was built. The United Nations absorbed the League's lessons, notably integrating the United States to fix its predecessor's greatest vulnerability. While the political authority of the League dissolved, its humanitarian organs survived. The health organization simply evolved into the World Health Organization. Ultimately, the League of Nations failed to stop the tanks, but it successfully built the organizational tools that humanity still relies